Hello, parents. Kimberly Bell here. How are you? Today we are talking about, or discussing, I guess, why is it that our children trigger us? My feeling on this is because so much of traumas, heartaches, heartbreaks, impressionable things happen to us as we are growing, right? And we're figuring out what's safe, what's not safe, what's accepted, what's not accepted, all that stuff. We have a lot of what I like to call little roadblocks that happen in our lives as we move through life. And when we're raising our children, and perhaps they could be around that age when that trauma or that impressionable thing happened to us that's often uncomfortable, right? When we're raising them and they go through that period of time, it could trigger things within us. So I feel like that happens almost the whole time we're raising children. And let's not forget the other thing. The other thing is that kids come on the scene. We have no manual, right? We're relying on what we know to raise our children. Often that is what we learned from our earlier caretakers and what they learned from their earlier caretakers. So, the old paradigm, the old way of, I believe, the energy in the households for raising children was more like a hierarchy, right? And if you asked questions, it may not have been appreciated, right? So kind of like, you know what? How dare you question me, right? Kind of like the hierarchy, the king or the queen. How dare you question me? You don't have to ask any questions. You just have to do it. And now that's not working, right? Our world's changed. These kids are different. The kids who are coming in now, they're very different individuals. They want to see, I believe, they want to see alignment with truth and the more heart-based way of doing life. What's right? What's fair? And they're starting to really ask these things, and I applaud them because I believe, honestly, for all of us in this world to shift, this is exactly what we need. However, we're raising these people, and we were raised with the old way. So we get triggered because part of it is our ego, right? And part of it is because we learned, how dare you question me? So here's the scoop. Be comfortable. Get comfortable with being questioned. Try to be, okay? If we get questioned and it bothers us, it's really an indication to us to ask a question to ourselves. And that is, why does this bother you so much, right? So it's an indicator of a place that maybe we need to look further for our own personal journey, right? And anytime we do work on ourselves, on our own, on our own person, our own self, it only makes us better people, right? It only makes us more empowered parents so that we can grow more empowered individuals. So that's one thing. Try to put your ego aside, because the ego, I want to say, is your juvenile self. The ego is the place that we've learned that life is not safe. And so anytime we get triggered, it gets our back up, right? That's the place it comes from. So I want to say that. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just giving us information. So I guess the other thing I'm wondering is do we expect more from our kids than we give or we're willing to give, right? Because we do expect a lot of these kids today. Forget about the schedule and all that they take on in life. This is a different world. And I feel like we put a lot of pressures on them. And I think it's a great question to ask ourselves. Do we expect more than we actually give? And it's also okay if we're faced with a question, a why question, right? Because now we're dealing with teenagers. I mean, you're going to deal with the why, right? When our kids are 2 and 3 years old. It's different when they're in the back seat, strapped to their car seat, and they're asking why questions. It's much different when they start moving towards adulthood and start asking us, right? And that's when we can really feel triggered. It's like, oh God, I don't know the answer to this question. So here's the scoop. I've told my kids, you know what? You're learning with me while I learn how to parent you. I haven't done this before. I mean, I have said that actually to my daughter, and it's true. we don't have a manual that we can go into and find these things. And sometimes if you ask me a question and I'm uncomfortable, I might need to say, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling good about this. I don't have the answer right now. I need some time to think about it. And then I want to come back and talk about this. And sometimes I say no to things, right? Sometimes I've said no to things just because I don't feel like it's the right thing. I might not have a reason why, but that's the way it goes. And you know what? I'm sorry if it disappoints you. But at the end of the day, I have to be the one to help navigate you until you've become old enough to navigate on your own. So we're going to have to do it my way, even if it's not the most popular way, right? So these are just some things. This is the conversation, and I want to throw it out because I feel, I feel for parents. We feel very pressured often, like we're supposed to have all these answers, and we just don't. So I hope this was helpful. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you.